I had the Homer Sips and pink glaze with sprinkles on top. Had to have it.
That's the way you guys get.
I had to have it.
First, I only got glaze.
I didn't want to dry the Krispy Kreme, and we no longer have.
We family, man.
Yeah.
About some dogs.
Yeah.
Hey, I know I'm a dog. Hey, I know Daryl.
Hey, you already know how
I
it
know you
is.
train a
You
dog.
know how it is.
Hey, we some dogs.
Yes, sir.
Hey, we about to. We family, man.
Yeah.
About some dogs.
Yeah.
Hey, I know. We family, man.
Yeah.
About some dogs.
Yeah.
Hey, I know I'm a dog. Hey, I know Daryl.
Hey, you already know
I
how
know
it
you
is.
train a
You
dog.
know how it is.
Hey, we some dogs.
Yes, sir.
Hey, we about to turn up one time on these boys. They're not ready. They're not ready for it.
Let's
Hey,
be honest.
it's their homecoming. Let's smash on these boys.
Disrespect.
Hey,
Yeah.
Let's smash on these boys.
Smash on 'em.
And then we hit the field like who? All day like who? All night like who? And we ready like who?
They gave me our house, baby. We in the best days of my last year. They gave me our house. Let's show them. Whose house? Whose house? Whose house?
Hey, welcome into Deepwater Remote. I am Mike Fanning from broadcasting from my bunker below the water tower at Glenn High School. I'm about 100 feet down, and I have an elevator issues, so that's why we're having to make do, and not at our normal location of Monte Del Rey's in Kernersville. And Coach, you know, it's a pleasure to be with you, but boy, I'm missing Taco Tuesday.
Yeah, man.
I'm missing the chips and the family. You know,
Most definitely. I'm missing my little chips and dip, and then my California burrito. I feel like Monte D. Ray, man. They supposed to hook us up, man. Bring me some rice and some chips over here.
Well, typically we do this show live and on location at Monte Del Rey's every Tuesday at 7:30. We'll be there for the rest of the season. So sorry we have to take a time out this week, but do yourself a favor. Come on over and meet the players, meet the coaches, meet the team. It's Bobcat family and Monte. It's Taco Tuesday. They got a huge menu. If you can't find it, they don't make it. I mean, really, they got wings and burgers, and then they got all this Mexican cuisine. They got everything. I love it. And I love being over there with you, Coach, and with our great sponsors, you know, Chicken Cluckers, York Home Inspection, Tucker's Grill, Sedgefield Lawn and Care, and Nikki Rotwell, Head Realty Group. Every week, get together, bring you Deepwater, Bobcat Nation, get the team together, talk a little football. We're gonna be talking about some other sports tonight, Coach.
Yeah,
we got the volleyball team on. Robert Horn has brought a couple of his outstanding outside hitters to the show here tonight. So don't go anywhere. We're going to talk some football, but before we do, tell me about your weekend, Coach.
My weekend was great. My family, we actually went to the fair. Went to the Carolina Fair. I didn't eat anything crazy. I just had my little turkey leg. My daughters had a funnel cake. I didn't do fried Oreos or anything, but it was smooth. They enjoyed themselves on some rides, and I was just kind of chilling, enjoying the moment with being with family.
Yeah, feeling a little cooler out there too. I know Friday night and then into this weekend, it definitely feels like fall now. And
I'm still in shorts. I will remain in shorts until probably about November.
Well, you're out there. You're out there practice. I get that.
Yeah, absolutely. I wear a hoodie at the top, shorts at the bottom.
You know, before we go on to, I just want to make sure, you know, we are thinking about all our friends out in Western Carolina and everything that was going on. You know, we were real blessed here in the Triad to be playing football this weekend, to really be going about our lives, whether it's, going to the fair or enjoying Friday Night Lights. But what they're going through out in the West and moving the playoff schedule around, we found out this week, I'm thinking about them. Everybody at Tobacco Road Sports Radio is thinking about them, but really thankful that we could be kind of enjoying our normal weekends here in the Triad.
Absolutely, and continue sending in those donations to all the schools and West Forsyth County schools. They are still accepting donations, so anything we could do to help, we'll make sure the supplies to get there, because I know we're doing it, and I'm sure other schools are still collecting donations, and it's just a good opportunity for the kids and the coaches in the western part of our state, the opportunity to still play the sport. So just to push everything back a week to give them opportunity to play, I think that's awesome.
You talk about community and family every week on this show, and so it doesn't surprise me, Glenn, doing something for those flood victims out on the West.
Have to, man. It's we all in this together. Different communities. We all are one. We're North Carolinians, so that's important that we help one another.
Let's turn our attention to football. Friday night. I've never seen such a misleading score. And if you woke up Saturday morning and you saw RJ Reynolds won 33-16, you wouldn't even know what happened. I mean, every once in a while you get a game like this that's just not indicative of how it ended up and how really it played. And Coach, we're going to go quarter by quarter. We're going to go through all the big plays in this game and kind of get your perspective. We'll take some time to really break this game down and really do it justice.
Absolutely.
But if I were to tell you that RJ Reynolds, the Demons would only have 13 possessions, and out of 10 of those, out of those 13 possessions, they would go 3 and out. How comfortable would you feel about winning that ball game?
Very comfortable. 6 first downs as well, the whole game. And that's frustrating, man. I talked to a reporter Saturday, and he wanted to know exactly what happened, and did the defense give up 33? And I looked at the stat sheet. We gave up 6 first downs. And so we got to find ways to score. And, like I said, we're going to talk about each quarter. But I know exactly what happened. But, some things that we need to work on. But, the 6 first downs, that kind of that took me there this weekend. Yeah,
I mean – That was the thing that stood out. Your run defense was fantastic. Your defense really showed up to play, and you had some breakdowns. We'll go through it, but when you look at that number and then you look at the final score, it's like that doesn't make sense. How do you get 33 points when they only got 6 first downs, when they only had 3 drives, pick up more than 10 yards? How does that work out? That just doesn't make sense. So, McGee 83 yards on the ground, a touchdown. Brady Robinson completed 17 passes for over 200 yards. He had a touchdown. It just didn't equate into the equation, which is the final score. And let's just go ahead. We'll just get right into it. I mean, I think you guys got the ball first on the coin flip, went ahead and received, and it was kind of a back and forth affair. Till the end of the first quarter, about 2 minutes, 21 seconds to go in the first quarter, you got a 1st and goal from the 2. You run a play. It's a stretch run out to the right, in for the touchdown. Everybody's celebrating. A flag, though, comes out. And that kind of was going to be a theme for the rest of the game. A flag comes out that backs you up 10 yards on a holding call.
Yes, sir. You just can't happen. Penalties, again, kind of took some points away from us this game. And on that particular drive, we just needed something to just go right for us in that moment. And just being able to score, but getting it called back on the flag, it's just, it bumps your head on the sideline, if you will, because, you just want things to go right, and it just didn't go our way with the holding call. Yeah.
So, wipe the touchdown off the board, back you up 10. Now you're 17 yards out, run a couple plays, and unfortunately, tight window, Robinson trying to force it in, a good play by the defensive back, and RJ Reynolds comes away with the interception. So you guys don't get points.
No, live to fight another day. He can't make that throw. We just gotta in that opportunity, we should have just threw the ball away and maybe kicked the field goal to took some points away. But he's just trying to make things right. He's just trying to give us anything we can as far as getting us some points, and he just tried to fit it somewhere, and you don't have to do that. We just want to live to fight another down.
RJ Reynolds with the touchback gets the ball to 20, and then they start putting the drive together. First quarter comes to an end, no score. And I believe it was on the very first play of the second quarter. Quarterback for the Demons goes over the middle, and really how they made that catch. There's I'm watching it on the NFHS app. There's 4 orange helmets there. I don't know how that ball got to his hands. It's a 46-yard touchdown, and they go up 6-0. But really, you guys, you had the personnel there. They just couldn't make the play. We just got to make the play. That quarterback did a great job of putting it in a tight window, and he was able to catch it and capitalize off of it. That's a great job, great execution by Reynolds in that moment. So just 9 seconds into the second quarter, the 35-yard touchdown pass. You block the extra point, makes it a 6-0 game. And then, like you said, the defense in the first quarter and then in the second quarter, it really settled in. The pass rush was getting home. The run defense was just so stiff. RJ Reynolds would get some plays, but it wouldn't come from the ground. And boy, were you in the backfield a lot in this contest. Yeah, the defensive line was doing a great job of just reading their keys and getting into the backfield. TK, Takalon King, then you have Borhan Hemadou, Isaiah Buford did a great job. The whole defensive line, the whole front seven did a phenomenal job of applying pressure and getting in the backfield. Yeah, that next drive for Reynolds, you get a big sack. It was TK who come in off the edge, just did a great job of getting home. Yep, 4th and 25, and it looks like they run a fake punt. On 4th and 25, they try to run it deep in their own territory, and you stuff it, and you get the ball now on the 24-yard line. Yeah, and in that moment, I just think I guess they wanted to catch us sleeping a little bit, but our guys was ready. We were ready for any type of punt fakes or anything of that matter. But in that moment, when we got them off the field, we had to try to score in that moment. Yep. Yeah. So you got the ball, great field position. You're on the 24, and offense starts clicking. You had a really good balance in this game, even when you were, even as the game went on. Craig McGee did a great job running the football in between the tackles on the stretch plays. Like I said, unfortunately, that touchdown he had earlier was called back because of a penalty. But here he goes from 18 yards out and puts you guys in the end zone, and the extra point's good. Now you're leading 7-6, just like that. Yeah, it's important for us the next couple of weeks. We got to try to find that offensive balance. That's been my theme all the last 2 weeks. We got to get our run game going again. That's when we are at our best, is when we can be as balanced as possible versus just being able to throw the ball 60 to 70% of the time. That's not who we are. We want to try to play complementary football and be as balanced as possible. You're watching Deepwater here at Tobacco Road. Appreciate you joining us. We're not at our normal Mt Del Rey in Kernersville. We're not enjoying Taco Tuesday. We will, though, for the rest of the year. So come out and join us every 7:30 Tuesday nights. Coach Green, Tommy Green, head coach of the Glenn Bobcats. I'm Mike Fannin recapping this RJ Reynolds game. And you get the ball right before the end of the half. Yep. About a minute and 50 and change to go. You're leading 7-6. Mm-hmm. And, hey, you see something, let's attack. Let's go. Let's be aggressive here. And once you know it, big one, 48-yard touchdown strike. Robinson puts just a beautiful rainbow throw, really, to get it over the secondary's head, put it in the hands of your wide receiver with about 29.8 seconds to play. It looks like you guys have just taken a 13-6 lead. But again, a penalty flag. I don't know what it was. Couldn't see that from my vantage point. It was holding. Unfortunately, it was a hold. Yeah. Yes, sir. On that play in particular, and I noticed in this game prior to other games, Robinson, pocket got tight. He used his feet. He escaped, rolled out to his left, and then was able to hurl it deep for 48 yards. It was just a pretty play all around. But unfortunately, another touchdown that had to come off the board via a penalty. And that's just him getting more comfortable, or us actually doing more film sessions with him, understanding where the pressure is going to come from in order for you to step into the pocket and be able to make those throws. And so he's done a fantastic job this previous week of watching film, understanding how the defense want to attack us, how can I escape, where can I escape, and who's the guy I'm reading to be able to get it down the field. He did a great job of
of doing that this week.
Yeah, really well executed 2-minute drive. Unfortunately, you don't get the touchdown. Time runs out in the first half. And I really feel like you guys had great field position in the first half. I didn't have the bubble level out there, but you had great field position in the first half. The defense was really playing well. Again, 8 possessions for RJ Reynolds in the first half. 7 were 3-and-outs.
Yeah.
7 were 3-and-outs. And really their only play was that 35-yard touchdown pass. So you guys were controlling the line of scrimmage. You were controlling the clock. You were controlling the field position. You only had a 1-point lead going into halftime, and on the road in this conference, that's tough.
It's tough, but we were, by any means, we felt real good about having that 1-point lead because we also knew and understood that we left 2 touchdowns on the field with the 2 holding calls. So we went into halftime with all the faith and confidence that we're going to be able to pull this out if we continue playing the way that we are playing currently to that point. And so we went into halftime feeling real good about having a 7 to 6 point lead.
So knowing defense is playing well, you guys go into the third quarter now, back and forth, and you're content to punt the football away, trust the defense. And unfortunately, this is where things start to go a little bit sideways. About a 3-minute span in this football game where you guys just didn't play Glenn football. And the first was you had a punt get blocked.
Yeah.
And they scoop it up 30 yards out and score to take a 12-7 lead. So breakdown on special teams really allows them to get, and not just a breakdown on special teams, it's a scoop and score for the special teams. Didn't even have a chance to get that defense out there to try to put a stop on them. They go on, scoop it, score it, and all of a sudden it's 12-7 just like that.
There's 3 phases to football. You had offense, defense, and special teams. All 3 are equally important. And so we speak a lot about being sound on special teams because those can change games. And in that moment, I did feel like they had a little momentum switch because I feel like they didn't have anything else they can lean on that they can score in that moment. I think we controlled the game defensively, and offensively we had a rhythm. So to give up a block punt that turns into 6 points for them, I felt like the momentum switch a little bit. That gave them that little edge that they needed with a little sense of confidence. And we never want to give our opponents any type of confidence. We want to keep them down as much as possible.
Yeah. You come back, you receive the kick. Second play, you guys run, I think, a first down run. Second down, you're going to throw it out to the right. And, I mean, just a little bit behind throw that's intercepted and turns into a pick 6. So in the course of 3 plays, they've put 2 touchdowns on the board.
Correct, and we always want to be able to protect the football. We want to have turnovers defensively, takeaways. We don't want no turnovers on the offensive side of the ball, and we must play clean on special teams. We broke 2 of those rules, and I firmly believe that was the difference in the game. Is the block punt that went for 6, and then also the pick 6 right after that. Because when you look at the final score, the 33-16. Of course, we have 4 interceptions that Brady Robinson threw. But having said all that, those 2 plays really changed the game, the outcome of the game, in my opinion. And so it just can't happen.
Yeah, when watching it and just knowing that you left some points, unfortunately, those touchdowns in the first half get called back via penalty. And then they get these 2, a special teams and then a defensive touchdown in the course of 3 plays, less than a minute off the game clock. Like you said, you could really feel that momentum just flip. And when you're on the road, home crowd going nuts.
Yep, it's homecoming for them.
Those mistakes can start to stack up. Yeah.
Yep.
Also, later in the third quarter, another big special teams by RJ Reynolds. You go ahead and punt. It's a good punt. Drives the returner back in his own territory. But he's able to put a great return on it down the near sideline and take it all the way down to your 10-yard line. Second big special teams play that RJ Reynolds makes in the quarter. And they're set up. They're already inside the 10-yard line as the third quarter is winding down.
Yep. And again, it just goes back to special teams. We got to be able to run down, make tackles. But in that moment, I felt like momentum was already switching, and then they had another play right after that with the special team with the kick return. So, yeah, they had all the momentum as homecoming, and they started feeding off of that.
A couple plays later, they punch it in. It's 26-13. But you guys aren't going to go away. Or excuse me, it's 26-7. You guys aren't going to go away. Brady Robinson comes back, touchdown on his next drive. It was a 30-yarder. Rain Booker, I believe, on the reception.
Yes.
Is that correct? Was it
Yes,
Rain
sir.
Booker to make it 26-13? Booker ends up having a nice night. I think 7 catches, over 100 yards receiving. So he puts together a good night. But just like that now, you feel like, okay, hey, we're going to hang around. We're, still here in the third quarter, put a touchdown drive together, still more in the tank. But then RJ Reynolds comes right back. They couple big hitters through the air, 63-yard touchdown pass, makes it 33-14.
Yeah, and to that point, offensively, they became kind of playing the position game of just trying to play keep away. They were up by 2 touchdowns to that point. At that moment, I think offensively, we kind of seemed like we're trying to do anything we can to get that momentum back, and so they're going to run the ball a little bit. They were running the ball, and we were stuffing them. The only thing they had after that is they did have a playmaker in number 12. Not sure the young man's name. He's a go-getter, and they threw a jump ball to him, and he popped for 63. But again, it just goes back to everyone doing their job. We had a blown coverage on that. We had some help. He's supposed to have some help to cover that, and that the help didn't get there. So we was one-on-one on the island, and they took a shot. The receiver was able to catch it and take it for 63. Had we done our job and got off the field and made them punt, I like to think we was going to pull that momentum back. But that one play with the special, that's one of the things defense we talk about is we don't want the offense to have any explosive plays. And that anything that's over for us in our defense, anything that's over 20 yards, that's considered a explosive play. They had 2 of them in this game, and both of them went for 6. And so that can't happen.
Yeah, you would get another scoring opportunity later in the fourth quarter. In fact, they originally signaled touchdown on the field. I think it was McGee going in. But again, another penalty backs you guys up. So they take points off the board. The penalty backs you guys up 10 yards. I think it was a hold. It was like first and goal from the 5, and I believe it was McGee who gets into the end zone. But anyways, penalty nullifies it. Now you're backed up 10 yards, and you end up having to go for it on 4th down and cannot convert.
We're playing catch up, so of course I'm going to be aggressive in that moment and go for it on 4th down. 3 touchdowns, as you just alluded to, were called back due to holding. So we got to take care of the penalties. We have to be able to play clean. We're not good enough to take points away from ourselves. Everybody has to do their job and execute. And we had 3 touchdowns called back due to penalties.
I think what is, food for thought for those watching and listening, those 3 touchdowns that came off the board via penalties, you weren't able to convert into points. So that's 21 points out there that you guys weren't able to capitalize on. Even though you had a play get into the end zone, the penalty brings it back. You weren't able to hit a field goal or score later on that drive. That's 21 points that came off the board, and you flip that on the fact that they get a pick 6 and a special teams touchdown. Yep. That makes for a very different narrative in this game if those Glenn touchdowns stand and you don't give away that pick 6 and that special teams turnover.
Yeah, and the CPC is so tough. And, if we could have just took care, I keep saying if. We have to execute at the end of the day. And it's just going to take a little growing pains. I told the team and the staff, we just got to understand where we were as a football team, as a football program. We've been 3-7 the last 2 years. We just got to understand it's going to be some growing pains in this transition. And this is just one of those things. So hopefully we're so young moving forward next year. I'm hoping that we can capitalize off of these moments and understand that we got to play clean in order to get these victories. And sometimes that's necessary and needed. The growing pains is important, are important.
One thing that stood out to me, very balanced run and pass. It felt like maybe, even over the course of all the conference play, this seemed the most balanced run and pass. Robinson was able to make some plays with his legs that we hadn't seen him make earlier. You were alluding to the film study. Also, you had longer offensive drives. You're able to pick up some first downs. With as small as your roster is, with just 50 guys and only being so limited at how many players you can sub out for fresh legs if they sustain drives, or keeping your defense on the field for too long. How important is that balance with this roster?
We have to do it. I mean, as good as our defensive play, what happens if we sustain more drives and convert touchdowns? Now their legs are a little more fresh. And the same thing on the other side. So it's very important to be able to complete drives. I think we haven't done a good job of that against Reagan, West Forsyth, Parkland. We had a lot of 3-and-outs, but you are absolutely right. This game felt real balanced for us, and I love the way we executed and played it in the first half. And so I look forward for us to keep going with that same momentum. Kudos to the offensive staff. We did a better job of finding ways to get Brady comfortable so he can be able to execute. And I'm also excited about kind of seeing some positive things in our run game again. It's important for us to be as balanced as possible. I talked about it since week 1, going into Lefford, going into whoever we had, Ragsdale. I mean, you and I always talked about it, playing complementary football, being able to be balanced. We're not good enough to be a passing team, and we're not physical enough up front and everywhere else to be a straight 100% run game. We got to be balanced as possible in order for us to be a good football team. And I think we displayed that.
You told me something last week. I heard it. I've never heard it before, but you told me when you turn on the game film, in a win, you're never quite as good as you thought. And in a loss, you're never quite as bad as you thought. When I went back and watched this game again, the offensive line opened up some running lanes we hadn't seen the last 2 weeks. And I know this isn't a loss, but those are the little things in the game film. It's like, hey, these are positives, guys. You know, these are some running lanes that McGee hasn't had the last few weeks. And I know it's a 33-16 loss, but that doesn't – when Robinson had time, he delivered some really good on-time throws. The deep throws were there. You know, yes, he had 4 interceptions, but that doesn't account for the fact that he also completed 17 passes for 226 yards. So I like your comment you told me last week. You're never quite as good as you thought, and you're never quite as bad as you thought.
Yeah, and I think that's just important. Now, we just got to remember, I always say it too also, we're not focused on the result. Of course, we want to win games, but it's the process throughout. What are we learning from this loss? Where do we get better at? And you're absolutely right. Everything that you mentioned is something that we hung our hat on coming into the staff meeting. We've seen a lot of positive things, and I think that's important for us. We were searching for some answers going into this Reynolds game, and I think we found some answers that we can have to help us moving forward, as I call the dark valley of the conference schedule with these next 3 games. But it's some things we can hang our hat on moving forward.
Absolutely. You got a special guest with you. We're going to talk to women's volleyball. Glenn, you got Coach Robert Horn. What do you know about Coach Horn?
I know everything about Coach Horn. I know he's very charismatic, man. One of the most positive, energetic teacher coaches that we have on the staff. I'm a huge fan of Coach Horn. He's a real good dude. His wife also works here. Great family, 2 boys, everything he can speak to. Baseball kids, man, they're just phenomenal. He does a great job with our volleyball program. I'm a huge fan. The only thing I don't like about him is he a Pittsburgh Steeler. But outside of that, he's a good dude.
Okay. That's interesting. Old Steel City. Okay. Well, let's get him on. And while we do, you're listening, watching Deepwater, home of Bobcat Athletics. Normally we do this show every Tuesday at 7:30. Mt Tabor Restaurant, Mexican on Main Street in Kernersville. Come out and join us, meet the players, the coaches. Also want to thank our great sponsors here on Tobacco Road, Clucker's Chicken, York Home Inspections, Tucker Grill, Sedgefield Lawn and Garden, Nickery Rottweiler, Head Realty Group, some of the key sponsors that bring all this great content to you, really lifting up the Glenn athletes, including not just football, including ladies volleyball over at Glenn. Coach Horn, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing? Thank you for having me on.
Before we talk about – I'm doing good. How you doing?
Not too shabby.
Okay. Could talk a little bit about your season. You got some players there with you as well. But tell me a little bit about your journey in coaching and maybe your journey in coaching volleyball.
Well, I played all 4 years in high school. Like Coach Green has said, I am from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So Western Pennsylvania is very big on men's volleyball. So in high school, which we do have men's volleyball up there, we don't have that here in North Carolina. I played all 4 years for my high school, Ambridge High School up in Pennsylvania. Coming down here, I went to Pitt, University of Pittsburgh. I didn't play for the team, but I I did play some intramurals there. And then coming down here and getting a job in Randleman Middle School, I took over the middle school volleyball team and coached there for 5 years. And I moved up to Kernersville, worked at Southeast Middle School and coached their middle school volleyball team for 7 years. And in 2009, came to Glenn High School, still working at the middle school, but that 1 year I did the middle school and the JV girls volleyball team. Coach Carmichael, then Coach Griffey, brought me over here to take on the JV team. And I was her JV coach for 4 years and took a 6-year stint coaching women's soccer and came back on as the head coach for women's volleyball in 2018.
Okay. It's quite a coaching lineage and journey there, if you will. What do you love? I mean, what do you enjoy about coaching?
Well, I just love teaching the sport, whether it's soccer, whether it's baseball, whether volleyball. I just love being able to bring the children, the students, the players, young, old, just bring them into the sport and learn how and teach them how to play the sport, especially volleyball. Volleyball, of all the sports I've coached, volleyball is probably my most favorite because it's more of a combined team effort, not putting down football or anything, but volleyball, you have to depend on those 6 girls the entire time when you're on the court. And those girls play so hard, and they have to take such hard hits from the other team if the blocks aren't there. And I just love the all-around camaraderie of the team that they have to depend on each other.
You mentioned up in Pittsburgh they were playing men's volleyball. Of course, there's many teams in the Big Ten collegiately that play men's volleyball. And if I'm correct, men's volleyball is being added to quite a few high schools in North Carolina, including possibly Glenn this spring.
Yes, sir. We need, I believe, 109 schools in North Carolina to sanction volleyball, and it has to be solid for 2 years before we can. So this year, I believe we're pretty close to 109 for this next season. And yes, we are going to be starting a men's volleyball team this year. I think it's going to be in February. Next week, I'm going to have an interest meeting for any of the boys who may be interested in playing, and we'll get that started.
Well, I think you're going to meet many of the football players I've interviewed on this show. They all talk about it. It seems like whoever I have on a guest, chances are they're going to, Torian or any of these other fantastic players on the football side, they're going to play basketball, then they want to play volleyball in the spring. It seems like they've got their curriculum laid out. So
yeah, they're very excited. They keep asking me, when are we going to do it? When are we going to do it? And I say, well, be patient. I got my season right now I got to take care of, and then we'll get the interest meeting afterwards.
Talk about playing together. I do a lot of work collegiately for volleyball, broadcasting over in the SoCon conference. You talk about the challenge to someone who doesn't follow volleyball on, unlike basketball, where one player can play offense and defense and just take over and score all the points. Or in football, it's 11 on 11. And if one person doesn't do their job, you got 10 others that can. In volleyball, especially if it's done correctly, how much it takes everyone on the floor to work together in that ballet, if you will.
Yes, I mean, it's all 6 girls have to be on offense. All 6 girls have to be on defense at all times. When you have a girl on the other side ready to hit a ball, everyone has to be in position to receive that ball. The block takes care of it. If it gets past the block, then we have 4 or 5 other girls who are ready in position to receive that ball and try to get that pass. So it's very intense. And then if we do get that pass to our setter, then everyone has to be ready to hit. The libero can't technically get up over the net to hit, but can hit the ball, roll it, and make that score as well.
The interesting thing about volleyball is if you don't have the confidence, the ball will find you. And it seems, and they can do that very well at the collegiate level with how well they can serve and how quickly the scoring goes. You make a bad play. It's not like you can just take a timeout and just or get there are substitutions, but you have in rally scoring like volleyball is today, you have to deal with adversity so quickly, correct? I mean, you have to, hey, I made a mistake, move on. It's a constant mental pushing through exercise to get to 25.
Oh, that's correct. The girls, if they make a mistake, if they're in their head, you got to get them off the court right away, because that's a weakness that the other team can see. And they're going to, like you said earlier, they're going to serve that ball to that girl. And if I don't get that girl off, we either have to hide them in the corner, have someone step in front of that, and you only have two timeouts per each set. So if I use up my timeouts, we have to find other ways to slow the game down, whether it's a substitution here, a substitution there, just to stop it from being continuously scored upon. And that was one instant last night when we were playing Reagan in our conference tournament. One of the girls had a constant run on scoring. We just could not find a way to stop it, and I had to get a substitution in there because I had to run out of timeouts.
When a play is well executed, I think a common misnomer about volleyball is they think all 5 or all 6 players rather are equal. They don't know what a libero is, but they think all players can do everything. When in actuality, no, players have different positions on the floor. Defensive specialists, outside hitters, middle hitters, you have serving specialists, and I'm sure Glenn is no different. Each of those roles impacts a play differently. If I'm going to serve the ball over, just take someone who's coming to a match through how that play works, who it goes to first, who it should go to second, who it should go to third on a serve receive.
Usually on a serve receive, we have the girls in the back row. There's usually the 3, whether we shift over or we have the 3 already back there. They're the receivers, and they got to pass that ball up to the setter. The setter gets into position from the pass and sets it up for the 3 hitters up front, the outside, the right outside, which are called pins, and the middle hitter as well. And if we get that set, if we get that pass, that set, and that hit, then hopefully the hit, we can get that score. If not, we got to just revert back to defense.
And you brought a couple of those hitters with you tonight. Am I correct? In Camry Lamont and Savannah Parsons?
Oh, yeah. They're 2 of our strongest hitters, yes.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about them before I get a chance to talk to them.
Savannah Parsons is a sophomore this year. I coached her sister as well in 2 of the 3 of the 4 years that she was here. She was on varsity, and she was one of my middle hitters. And she started out as a setter, but she became one of my middle hitters. And Savannah is an outside hitter. She also plays middle, and she plays club volleyball as well. She started her club in middle school with the Champion Club organization, and she's probably one of my top hitters on the team. If not, she's my strongest hitter. Camry Lamont is a senior this year. She's played middle. She's played outside. Both very good defensive players. Camry started out the year without on the outside, left side pin, and she finished the year playing the middle. And she's very electric, very all over the place. She just loves being part of the play, and she's very good at backing up. So 2 very strong players.
All right, I'll let you 2 bring somebody on for me.
Let's go with Cam. Come on up, Cam.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate talking to you, Coach Horn.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, Camry, welcome to Deepwater, part of the Tommy Green experience here on Tobacco Road Sports Radio. Normally we're doing this at Mt Tabor restaurant. We're enjoying fine Mexican food. Tonight we're doing this from my bunker underneath the water tower out at Glen High School, Kernersville. Camry, one of the, as Coach was telling me, one of the middle hitters, outside hitters for the squad, a senior this year. Do you have aspirations of playing volleyball collegiately? And if you do, how do we follow you on social media?
I don't.
Okay.
Volleyball is very fun, though. I did enjoy playing it. I just started not too long ago, maybe 2 years ago.
Oh, really?
I fell in love with it. I would play collegiately, but I have a plan. It doesn't involve playing sports in college. So
Okay.
that's the only reason I'm not playing.
I like a plan. You said you enjoyed playing volleyball. What do you enjoy about it?
I like passing to the setter. I also like hitting and getting kills. I like to serve the ball, and it's just like it's very electric. I just like the sport.
Talk
I-
about the camaraderie from working and playing with your teammates in volleyball, because we're just done talking to Coach Horn. He talks about how everyone has to be in sync and in rhythm and be communicating and working together. Tell me about the team.
Yes, it's very easy for us to get in our heads sometimes. We have to come together sometimes and just talk to each other, try to calm everybody down. One of my teammates, I used to hold her hand to try to calm her down whenever she's messing up a lot. Just positive words. Sometimes in the timeouts, we just try to get ourselves together, prepare for the next ball. Usually try to freeze the server, and usually it works sometimes. Yeah.
What kind of expectations did you have for yourself this season? And now as the season's kind of winding down, how do you think that game plan came together?
I wanted to get 5 kills or more on the outside. And
Okay.
I've been watching a lot of college volleyball, studying kind of how they snap. That's what I was struggling with last year, snapping the ball. I would hit it out a lot and stuff. Watching how college volleyball players hit kind of helped me. And I also got a volleyball myself, and I started smacking it against a wall. And it's helped me a lot. And just passing to myself, forcing my sister to go to the park, pass with me, just working and watching volleyball.
You talk about just smashing the volleyball. It's not that simple, though. I mean, your wrist location, there's a lot that goes into hitting a volleyball. It's not just I'm going to go up there and knock it down, is it?
No.
Talk about your communication. If you want to, you're looking to maybe get 5 kills per match or per set, I hope. What's your relationship with your setter typically like? You want it high? You want it close to the net?
Yes, I tell her high and close to the net. She's not always going to give me that, and I'll find ways to either push it over or tip it over. But she likes to ask us a lot, like where we want the ball. She does a really good job of making sure she puts the ball where we want it. So
you're a senior at Glenn. Any other sports you going to play?
Basketball and softball.
Okay, so you got a couple more seasons ahead of you. When we get to wintertime, we'll probably talk to you on the basketball court as well. So, okay, Cameron, I'm gonna have you bring Savannah on. Before I do, what's it like playing with Savannah?
She's a really good player. I learn a lot from her. Savannah has been playing for a while, and I like watching people that have experience in volleyball. She's a very good leader as well. She is a really great player, and she also has a great personality and really fun to be around. So,
all right, Cameron, appreciate you being on Deepwater, and let's bring Savannah on. We're talking to Glenn's women's volleyball, a couple players here. It's a tough conference schedule. It's so difficult in the Central because you have the likes of Reagan and Mt Tabor. You have some very good women volleyball programs here in the Triad, Forsyth County included. Savannah, welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you?
Now, you're just a sophomore, Coach Horn told me. Do you have any ambitions of playing collegiately?
Yes. It's always been a dream of mine to play in college.
Okay. How do people follow you? Do you do anything on social media if you're trying to get in front of some recruits' eyes?
Yes. I'm in an Instagram account and TikTok, and I'm going to be starting a YouTube channel for some of my highlights, so they can follow me on that.
Okay, we'll be on the lookout for that. Coach Horn also mentioned you play in club. What club do you play for?
Piedmont Volleyball Club.
Okay, Piedmont Volleyball Club. Okay, so talk a little bit about this season, your expectations, your sophomore, starting with the varsity club. What were kind of your expectations for the season, and kind of how did they pan out?
I expected to come out really strong because we have really great girls. It didn't exactly plan out the way I wanted it to, but I still think we played really strong and we gave it all that we could.
Talk about, Cameron was telling me, and Coach Horn as well, the chemistry of your teammates in playing together with them. What's that kind of experience been like for you, kind of going through your first year of playing varsity?
It was really great. All the girls, they're amazing on and off the court. Their personalities, they're all super nice. I love every single one of them. I think we all have great chemistry, and that's really helping us on the court.
Coach said he's got you at a middle hitter, outside hitter right now. He moved you around a little bit. Sounds like you like blocking. You like the kill side of it. What's your game?
I love getting kills. That's probably my favorite part. I do love blocking though. It feels great to just block someone and put it down. But I think I love killing the ball more. Yeah.
I'm looking at your record right now. It is a very tough conference. So when I see 1-13 as the conference season is kind of winding down, it could be a little misleading. Some very good volleyball being played in Central Carolina. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. There's great girls on every team, and it's very difficult.
You plan on playing other sports, or are you just sticking to volleyball?
I'm just sticking to volleyball.
Okay. So right after the varsity season, will you go right back into club?
Yes. I have about a month off, and then I'm starting right back up.
For people that don't know, how serious is club volleyball? Because, again, talking to the ladies I know that play it collegiately and some of the programs that I follow over in the SoCon, everybody plays club volleyball, and club volleyball is just as competitive, if not more competitive, than varsity volleyball.
Yeah, it's super competitive. I would say it's a bit more competitive, and obviously it gets more competitive the more like your age goes up. But it's really serious once you get out there and just start moving up in levels.
And you'll travel for people who don't know, you're traveling all over the country for club. It's not just like you're just playing matches here in Forsyth County. You're going all over. It's a traveling team where you're playing 3 or 4 matches every weekend, correct?
Yes.
What have you enjoyed or have learned? I shouldn't say enjoyed. What have you learned from Coach Horn this season? I know he's in the room, so but this is a safe space. What have you learned volleyball wise from Coach Horn and all his experience?
Just to always stay positive, and if you get in your head, just shake it off. Just focus on the next ball, and always stay positive and be a good leader. All
right. Well, good luck to you. We'll be following you. Camry as well. It's a shame it's a senior. I think the team was growing for sure, and we'll be following you. Savannah Parsons, our guest, just a sophomore for Glenn Volleyball. Thanks for being part of the show.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to welcome Coach Tommy Green back on. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Coach Horn, for sticking around here on Deepwater. We're talking Glenn athletics. Again, normally 7:30. We do it live in front of a studio audience at Mt Tabor Restaurant in Kernersville on Main Street. Our great sponsors, Clucker's Chicken, York Home Inspection, Tucker's Grill, Sedgefield Lawn and Garden, and Nikki Rottweiler, Head Realty Group. Coach, we were just talking to Coach Horn, Lamont, Parsons, 2 of the players. I didn't even really get a chance to ask him. Volleyball is just as athletic as any other sport. We've talked to wrestlers. Yep. We talked to soccer earlier this year. But
cheerleading,
just as athletic as any of them.
Just as athletic, man. They be putting in that work in the summertime. That's one of the sports that's with us in the summertime, volleyball and soccer. So we're well acquainted. We all seeing each other grinding and getting after it during the summer months.
Okay. We talked earlier about the recap from RJ Reynolds. Right. It doesn't get any easier. No. Mt Tabor coming to town, 2-game homestand. Got Tabor, then East Forsyth before you wrap up the season with Davie. So just 3 games remaining on the schedule, 2 at home. For Mount Tabor, got excellent wide receivers. I'm not too worried about that because your secondary, outside of a couple breakdowns here and there, your secondary has played just very well. They've been ball hawking, led the conference in interceptions. What are some other things we need to watch? Because I know all eyes go to Snook Peterkin and for Mount Tabor.
Yeah.
What are some other things are you paying attention to this week as you get the guys ready?
For me, and it's just nobody take it the wrong way. It's never about the opponent. It's about us. How do we play? I want us to be physical. Mount Tabor displayed that against any and everybody. I think we've been doing this now. I've been, as an assistant, I've been in this conference for 10 years. I expect it no different. We're gonna play a physical group of guys, and so what I'm looking for is the physicality is number one. We're not going to be spooked at all. My kids know it, and we, they came in with the mentality Monday, man, just on to the next. And I appreciate them for that, because a lot of times, depending on your team culture and where you are as a program, guys can quit on you. But my guys come in every Monday, and they're just hungry and starving to really, that lunch pail back here, where it's actually over here, that lunch pail. Hey, I got to go back to work. Man. It's blue-collar mentality, and so we're excited for the challenge. And so some of the things I'm looking for is physicality is number one. Number two is just, are we playing mistake-free? We can't – Mount Tabor is too good. We can't give the ball away, number one. And special teams. The last thing is special teams. Will we execute on special teams? And so if we do those things, and we may need a little sprinkle, a little luck too. Mount Tabor is a real good team. So we need a lot of things to go our way. But what I'm mostly looking forward to is just the challenge, just to see how my young kids going to play and see if we're ready for that smoke.
Well, no matter how good they are, it's still 11 on 11.
11 on 11.
And Coach, your defensive line, I felt like took a step forward. They got home on the blitzes. They stopped the run. The offensive line gave Brady opportunities to step up and extend plays with his legs or throwing the football, opened up some lanes for McGee in the run game in the second half. So those two units, those two groups right there on the line of scrimmage, I think took a step forward this week. They're going to have to be continuing to take that step forward. What does that look like this week in practice? What can you build off on that game film?
We can just build off what we did last week, which is, just taking care of trenches play. Trenches play is everything in this conference. I think skill for skill outside of, like I said, Mount Tabor has, you have some special kids in this conference, but skill for skill is about the same. The difference in this conference is really in the trenches, to be honest with you. And if you're going to be somewhat undersized and don't have depth like we do, we just got to be gritty. We got to be gritty, and we got to be technique sound. And if we could do those things, that's what we're focusing on. We're looking forward to build on what we built on from last week. It's important moving forward to continue getting better, 1% better each rep. We film in practice. We do all those things. What did you do right and wrong? How can we capitalize on it? So for us, everything is a learning opportunity for us, where we are as a program. And so our kids believe in what we're selling as far as 1% better. Never focus on the result. It's all about the process with us. And so with that mentality, you never lose, in a sense of you always come back knowing that I am improving in some areas. And so that's where we are. And but make no mistake, we want to be 1-0 at the end of the week. I don't believe in more victories, but I do believe there's a lesson to be learned in a loss. And every loss that we took this year, we learned something from it. And with this young group that I have, I'm smiling on the inside because I know that flower is going to eventually bloom. And we're going to be ready for it when we move forward. And however, it won't be CPC, but wherever we land after the season, in the 6A conference, wherever we are, I'll be a smiling man just to see my kids get another opportunity.
Can I put a jersey on? You got me.
How many plays you got? How many plays you got in you, man?
One. I got one play. But listen to you say that, like I want to put the pads on. I want to run through a brick wall right now.
Yeah, I love it, man. We're gonna soup you up, get you a mouthpiece, man, and we may put you on a decoy route so you won't hurt yourself, man. I may put you on a jet sweep, man. See if you got it.
This is why I tell you what. I'm so glad we don't do this remote every week. I'm so glad we're going to be back at Mt Tabor next week. in person and having this chat face to face. That was awesome, Coach.
Yeah.
Just before I go, we got to thank our great sponsors here that bring Deepwater and Glenn Athletics to you every week. Clucker's Chicken, York Home Inspections, Tucker Grill, Sedgefield Lawn and Garden, and Nikki Rottweiler at Realty Group. Special thanks and shout out to those sponsors. Also, Desmond Johnson, who puts us all together. 5 different schools now covering high school sports here in Detroit. This has been great. Coach, I really appreciate your time. I love your honesty. You always get me fired up. And, hey, it's 11 on 11.
11 on 11.
I'm ready for Friday night. Let's do it.
11 on 11, man. We got nothing to lose. Of course, a lot of things got to go our way these last 3 weeks. All our goals, the important thing is all our personal team goals are still on the table. And my team know what those goals are. And so we just got to walk through the valley, man. I just need 11 dogs to believe in it, and we're gonna be ready.
I met some of those dogs this year. They're ready.
They're ready. Yep. So everybody come out Friday night at the Water Tower against Mt Tabor. It'll be a packed house. Another CPC game. Be ready to see a physical, hard-nosed backyard brawl. Because I love the way Mt Tabor plays. They just play with that energy that I actually love, to be honest with you. Coach Tashawn Brown does a fantastic job to have his guys ready, and I'm just looking forward to a challenge. And so I want everybody to come out to the Water Tower, man, and my guys will be ready, as I'm sure his guys will be ready.
7 o'clock, toe meets leather, under the lights. It's going to feel like football. Should be a great scene. Coach, I appreciate it. This will do it. Mike Fanning, Tommy Green, Deepwater. Here on Tobacco Road Sports Radio. Good night, everybody.